What is your organization doing about employee engagement? For many organizations, engagement looks like this: the survey that comes every year, or every few years, asking about your satisfaction. Great for tracking things like engagement, but does filling it out make you more engaged? What if the survey says that employees are not engaged? Maybe engagement at your organization looks more like this: the tried and true employee suggestion box. Or maybe this: staff meetings, perhaps with a question and answer period at the end. Or a town hall meeting, solely dedicated to questions and answers. Or perhaps, just maybe, engagement can be more active. Engagement is a hot concept in organizations these days. Everyone must be seen to be engaging their employees in some way, particularly with stereotypes about millennials getting easily bored, distracted, and needing meaning in their work. Organizations are highly concerned with making sure their workforce is engaged. But what does it actually mean to be engaged? What is the specific goal here? There are actually a few different ways to think about engagement, and each suggests a different approach to how leaders might enhance it. Let's review a few of these perspectives. One way to gain insight into how to improve employee engagement is by looking at how it is actually measured in terms of behavior. For example, the popular proprietary measure of engagement developed by Gallup taps into various criteria, including job satisfaction, clear role expectations, opportunities for using and growing knowledge and skill, recognition, the opportunity to voice your opinions, and meaning or purpose at work. So this measure treats engagement as somewhat of an umbrella term, tapping into the various workplace factors that make an employee see him or herself as aligned with their work. The benefit of a multifaceted measure like this is that if engagement is low, the measure can help identify where your organization is faltering and has room for improvement. For example, if your engagement survey shows employees low in recognition, it offers a point of focus for reform. In many cases, it will require follow-up investigation to really identify the source of the problem. But the survey is nonetheless important to actually recognize that a problem exists and where in the organization it lies. So it is not the process of the survey itself that engages employees, but rather what you as a leader choose to do with the information it provides. Let's take a closer look at the content of the Gallup survey. The subsections really capture two specific approaches to engagement. The first is job satisfaction, the degree of pleasure an employee derives from the job. Job satisfaction as a broad concept is not particularly useful unless it reveals the specific facets that make employees feel satisfied or dissatisfied. For example, the classic Job Descriptive Index, a freely available measure of job satisfaction, identifies 5 sources of satisfaction: coworkers, supervision, current pay, the nature of the work itself, and opportunities for advancement. Job satisfaction is often considered to be a core element of engagement, and thus it is important to be able to identify the specific source of dissatisfaction. The Gallup measure of engagement also reveals another piece of the engagement puzzle: the satisfaction of needs. Role clarity is tied to efficacy and the need for control. Opportunities for growth is tied to goal setting and the need for achievement. Recognition is about the need for esteem. Voice, being offered input into decision-making, enhances feelings of both esteem and control. Lastly, meaning and purpose represent the highest form of intrinsic motivation. So, engagement requires the satisfaction of our basic motivational drives. Given this, leaders can better engage their followers by first designing the work to increase motivation, and second, assessing satisfaction and motivation across the organization, allowing them to recognize where improvements need to be made. However, there are other ways to think about engagement. The Utrecht Work Engagement Scale defines engagement in terms of an effective experience, a positive, fulfilling, work-related state of mind that is characterized by vigor, dedication, and absorption. The measure itself has been validated in over 30 different countries and languages. It captures 3 elements: vigor, energy and strength; dedication, meaning and inspiration from work; and absorption, immersion in that work. In yet another approach, Kahn defines engagement as the behaviors by which people bring in or leave out their personal selves during work role performances. So, it is the idea that the self is wrapped up with the work role. Do employees identify with the work? Is there alignment between the self and the work? This is also commonly referred to as job involvement. Research has shown that this overlap between the self and the job predicts work performance, as well as job satisfaction and employee well-being. We also know how to enhance job involvement. Although there is a personality component, job involvement can often be increased through job design, as discussed earlier, increased role clarity, and supervisory treatment. Does the direct supervisor consider employee views? Do employees participate in the decision-making? How good is communication? One thing to notice about all of these approaches so far, they encompass both the work and the people within it, supervisors, coworkers, and leaders. It raises the critical point that engagement stems not only from alignment with the work itself, but also from the people that we work with. Organizational identification refers to the alignment between the self and the organizational group, the people. As a merging of the self and the group, it is also marked by shared values and feelings of belongingness in the organization. Organizational identification encourages employees to see the group's goals as their own. The group's successes are experienced as their own successes. As a result, they act as champions for the group and its objectives. This can also mean that they are willing to put the group's interests above their own personal interests. For example, highly identified employees are more willing to do additional, voluntary tasks that help the group beyond what is defined in their work role. Working late, helping colleagues, telling other people how great the organization is. However, there is a potential challenge. Consider all the groups that employees might identify with at work. Work teams, shared office areas, regional groups, functional areas. Employees might identify with these other groups rather than the organization as a whole. If the goals and values of these groups are not aligned, they may be working against each other. It is therefore important to build a strong, overarching, inclusive organizational identity, and to have clear organizational strategies that can help guide and align their activities. You can enhance organizational identification by developing a strong shared culture and set of values, which comes directly from leadership and the vision and purpose it provides. This can also be enhanced by involving employees in the development of those vision and values, making it our vision. Finally, it can be bolstered by strong socialization, having an effective onboarding process for new employees. The classic organizational example that has been successfully driving organizational identification for decades is Disney. They have a cohesive vision and set of values that pervades all segments of their diverse organization, aided by strong symbolic leadership and effective training and socialization processes. Lastly, organizational engagement can also be defined as one's level of commitment to the organization. Do employees feel a sense of allegiance? Commitment has three components. Effective commitment is the emotional attachment employees have to the organization, which overlaps significantly with organizational identification. However, allegiance to the organization can also be driven by continuance commitment, or the costs associated with leaving, as well as normative commitment, or a sense of obligation and reciprocity. While effective commitment is enhanced by work characteristics and relationships, continuance and normative commitment are fostered by fair pay and work practices, and investment in employee development. In summary, engagement is not just about employee surveys. It involves job satisfaction and need satisfaction, energizing employees and eliciting commitment to the organization and its purpose. It involves an overlap between the self and the work, as well as between the self and the organization as a group. The good news is that this broad collection of attitudes is heavily influenced by leadership, both at the organizational level and within individual working groups. Begin with strong leadership and the clarity of vision and values that come with it. Design the work and its objectives to strategically align with that vision, while also speaking to employees' intrinsic needs. Regularly assess the quality of your engagement using a valid and multifaceted measure, allowing you to identify the type and location of poor engagement and dissatisfaction in the organization. Finally, utilize this data to inform where changes need to occur. Strengthen organizational vision and values. Make the work more meaningful. Develop leadership skills of your managers, and improve socialization processes. Your learnings and openness to constructive criticism regarding engagement will, over time, develop employee engagement in your workforce, ultimately leading to greater success for your organization.